arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Venerable Sangaratana is also here. Right? IIT I can see.
No,
That
you
is
are
you,
using
Bhante.
IIT.
Is it? Okay, right. Okay. Then today we have to discuss about the question and answer, right? Q&A sessions. Today I was looking into one question to find out the answer. That's why it took a little bit time for me to get ready about the first question. So we'll Google. Give me one moment. Yeah. Question number 43. I think I have to share the screen. Share screen. I hope you can see now.
Yes, Bhante.
No. Do you know how to increase the Google Docs size? Can you see the?
It's a little bit small.
How can we increase zoom in this Google Docs?
That if you go onto the bar, it has 100%. That if you increase you can zoom it in. Yeah.
Like this, okay, right. Thank you. Okay. So now we have the question number 43 today. Could you please explain the word thadi used in the sense of Kattukaraka and Kammakaraka? I think we discussed about this in brief. This is the question that I was discussing with my friend. So this is for it. Anything seen as something else. According to the place we take arahant. The word doesn't mean arahant according to this definition. Right. So now we have normally two common definitions for the thadi. Thamiva Thamiva dissati. Sorry, Thamiva passati. Passati ti. Thadi. Then we have so iva dissati ti. Thadi. So these are the two definitions. So Thamiva Passatiti is a Kattukaraka definition. So how do we extend this? Tang Ittampi Anit Anitang iva Passatiti. Whatever. Thadi. So this is a normal extended sentence. Tang ittampi anittangiya passatiti tadi. So here, what the person sees now, the one who sees is called tadi. So how does he see? Ittampi anittang iva, or anittampi ittang iva. The both are possible. Even the reverse order is possible. Or tang anittampi ittangiya passati. So one who sees what is unpleasant, now what is pleasant as unpleasant. For instance, even a person, Thadi or Arahant, who sees a very beautiful human figure, consider it as something repulsive based on the repulsiveness of the body parts. At the same time, anittampi ittanga passati. Even something like excrement and so forth, he may be able to see it as dhatu, or even something that even if he can be happy about that, he can be happy about seeing that. So therefore, he has a complete mastery over his mind, so he can consider whatever object as he wishes. So one who sees these things, so even, so this is the word. How do we form the word even? So we got like thadiso thadi. Idiso idi. Ediso edi. Thadiso thadi means one who is similar to that is thadi. So here the word is tha. Tha is the word what has been used, the stem. The word, the suffix e has been used. So therefore, this is we call it, the definition is made in the active sense. One who sees something, like the definition is a little bit strange, like whatever he sees this as he wishes. Like if even this is unpleasant, he sees this as pleasant, unpleasant, or if even if this is unpleasant, he sees it as pleasant. So this is a thadiso thadi. It is a passive voice definition. Then in this sentence we have so kina via or even disatiti. So one who is seen by others, like a kinasava. Kinasava is a person who has eradicated all the defilements. So he doesn't shake based on the objects. So therefore, one who is seen like a kinasava, like an arahant, is also called tadi. This is some kind of a strange definition for me, because now we have already defined that a kinasava is a person who does not change, like he is always unshaken in his mind. So therefore, one who is seen like a kinasava, because here also the stem of so is ta. The stem in both these cases, the word is made like ta plus e. Ta is the stem plus long e. here also the word definition comes ta plus long e. So that is why it became thadi. Yeah, so this is the word formation that I can offer you. And also there is another Thamiva Dissati. My friend gave another definition to me. He mentioned this. What is happening? I don't know what it is. Thamiva Dissati iti tadi. Here, Dissatete. So it's normally becomes Dissateti. Dissate thadi. So there is no iti here because it's a bhava sadhana. This is a kattu sadhana. I think if you remember last time we discussed that iti suffix is not used in bhava sadhana definitions. I think Seale also confirmed this, right? Because according to the Myanmar explanations, bhava sadhana normally doesn't have the iti suffix. Tamiva dissate tadi. So what they are saying is the act of seeing. So for example, tang itampi anitang iva dissate. Itampi anitang iva dissate. Dissate is a bhava sadhana. I think some of you are aware of this bhava sadhana. Bhava sadhana means the action itself. It doesn't refer to the kattu or kamma. The action itself is called bhava sadhana. Then this one also can be defined. Sorry, I have problems in the because I'm using a new keyboard, so I have some difficulties. So tang iva tang anittampi ittang iva dissate tadi. So this is. So what does it mean? What does it mean? So this is a one kind of a characteristic of a like the act of seeing the unpleasant as pleasant, pleasant as unpleasant. Yeah, the first definition. Sorry. Like unpleasant. Then or we also can see the act of seeing the unpleasant like pleasant. So this is a one kind of an attribute. Or a good quality or a spiritual, right? That is how it is. So then they also give a definition. Soyeva lakkanang tadilak. Tangyeva lakkanang tadilakkanang. So that characteristic, tang lakkanang eva, thoyeva lakkanang. So what is that characteristic? The attribute, spiritual quality, the act of seeing the pleasant like unpleasant and the unpleasant like pleasant. So the person who sees such thing is also called tadi. The also one who he's seen like a kinasava. What is the characteristic of arahant? He is unshaken in any object. He can see the pleasant as unpleasant, unpleasant as pleasant. So from others, the others observe, when someone observes a person because for that we have to already define the word of kinasava. Kinasava has the attribute of seeing the things according to his wish. Like wish means he could have whatever attitude he likes towards an object, wholesome attitude. He is not taken away by unpleasant objects like we do. So therefore, so kinasava has to be first defined, and then one who is seen like a kinasava. Like when we look into a arahant person, if we find that he is unshaken in all the objects, whatever happens to him, so we can say he's a tadi. He's seen like a kinas. So the kinasavas are seen like kinasavas. Arahants are seen like arahants. So it's a very strange definition. Anyway, then tamiva dissate tadi. This here tadi means the attribute. An attribute of spiritual quality, according to this definition. So in this previously, this refers to the person, the arahant. In these both these, even though this is a kamma definition, still it refers to arahant, because the definition was made based on another arahant, but who is seen like another arahant is called tadi, and it refers to an arahant. Here, a direct definition, it's a very good definition. It's also arahant because he is capable in seeing the objects according to as he likes. So in both the definition, it refers to arahant. In this definition, it refers to a attribute. Then we also give we also see in the commentary tadi lakkana samannāgatassa. So one who is endowed with this tadi, Now how do we, this is an attribute. So we can make another word out of this. That is by tadi lakkana lakkanena lakkanassa, we can say lakkanena samannāgato also tadi lakkanena samannāgato, and this refers to an arahant again. So this definition is we can call it's a tadita. From the word tadi, we make the word tadi. Like for example, tadi, the same thing, like tadi lakkana samannāgato tadi. So what kind of a suffix, prefix we used? I'm not aware of that. So here, tadi means a lakkana. Tang eva lakkanam tadi lakkanam. What does this mean? First, the tadi means a characteristic. That characteristic itself is called tadi lakkana. Tadi lakkanena samannāgato. It means, the short definition, tadina samannāgato. Because we can omit the word lakkana here. Tadina. Tadina samannāgato. Tadi. One who has that quality, tadi quality, is also called tadi. So these are the 4 definitions that we can find. This is a tadita definition. We call not sakata. asatta tadita. No, not asatta. Sorry. Yeah, samannagata, or we can say tadi assa attiti tadi asatta. Yeah, we can call. So tadi lakkano assa attiti. We can better to say asattadita, one who has that quality or one who is endowed with that quality. So if we make it as an endowment, we have to say tadita like tena samannagato, terena sansatto, something like that. We can also say one who has the quality of tadi. So these are the definitions asatta tadita that we can find for the word tadi. So kartu sadhana, kamma sadhana refer to arahan, bhava sadhana refers to a quality, and with that we can make another tadi as a asatta tadi. Yeah, we can have a discussion on this.
Yeah, hi Bhante.
Dr. Ryan.
Yes, so first, is there like a typo there? Because it looks like you missed the H, the ha sound in the, like the first definition is anitang, right? Anitang.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, and then the next one is itang.
Yeah. Right, thank you. Sorry. Right.
Yeah, and then so Bhante, so here the so the tang itam di. So itang is the adjective of tang, Bhante?
Yeah, it's a definition. It explains tang itang. That yeah.
Okay, so he see that which is unpleasant as, oh, which is pleasant as unpleasant.
Yeah.
Okay, Bhante. So here you said the stem is ta. So can we say start, Bhante? Because then is that is where the da, the d comes from, right?
Sorry, I beg your pardon. I couldn't hear you.
I mean the word formation. You said it's ta plus e. So
Yeah.
can we say that the stem is, instead of ta, we say tat?
Yeah. Tad, in Sanskrit, yeah. Tad.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah. Stem is tad.
Okay, and then so for the bhavasadhana, so bhavasadhana, so I remember you said something like you're not sure about the formation of the word. So is it
This one.
no? I mean the bhavasadhana, because it's
Okay.
also tadi, right? So is it also the suffix is also e, Bhante?
Yeah. So this one is, I think it's clear. Tad plus e is tadi. According to this, I'm not pretty sure. This one.
Oh, so and then so we also have an e suffix, which refers to an attribute. When this it doesn't refer to a person, right? So according to the definition, I mean in the bhavasadhana.
Bhava sadhana, I think suffixes we can use, right? There are many. I think the bhava sadhana, there is not definite suffixes, I think, for the kitaka.
I see.
It's like
So to be yeah.
in many places, even though we don't study it normally in grammar books, we find such suffixes like even akka suffix has been used in bhava sadhana sometimes.
I see. Yeah, and then also to be honest, I'm not quite understand that the definition sentence in the bhavasadhana. So in bhavasadhana, the verb is disate.
Sati.
So disati is in the passive verb, right, Bhante? And then use the Attanopada.
Mhm. Even if we
Attanopada.
use the T here, it's not a problem. But what happens normally, even it's possible. But when we use the Bhavasadhana in grammar books, they use the Attanopada. But this one also can be used in Bhavasadhana.
Tongue,
Possible.
tongue, it's also Kamapati.
Yeah. The same. Ittampi, anittam iva.
I see.
Anittampi, ittam iva. So this refers to the act itself.
Okay, okay, Bhante. And then
Like this.
for the, yeah,
Please, I'll explain it later.
yes,
Yeah.
Bhante, and then also the Asata Patita. Here the definition you have Tadi, that is short E, not long E, Bhante.
Sorry.
Oh, okay,
Sorry.
thank you. Okay. Okay, thank you, Bhante.
So,
Bhante,
yes.
here, according to the Myanmar dictionary, they said it's a Gui suffix. No?
Qui.
Yes, the ta plus disa plus Gui.
Okay. Sorry. Ta plus. Okay. Sorry.
Disa plus Gui suffix.
I made a mistake. Sorry. Yes. Not thud. It should be a root. Right. Sorry. Yeah, you're correct. Sorry for that. This is the root. Qui. Right. How about philologically? Do you have a suffix called qui? I don't think.
In modern grammar, we don't see Gui, but in the tradition, we see Gui suffix.
Tongue. This is the act. Yeah. Sorry. So here also we have the same.
But you know what is the equivalent of the modern grammar suffix for Cree? I remember Nodinyana, he taught it once, but now I can't recall.
I think he was
Something like
Rupasiddhi.
Yeah, there is an equivalent.
Yeah. There's an equivalent, you mean? Okay.
Yeah, equivalent, Bhante. Yeah. Or maybe
That-
it's just there because I'm not sure, but something like it's there because there is no specific suffix. So they just put
Yeah,
it
there's
there.
no, there should be something, right?
Yeah.
Also here in the practical grammar, so it mentions Gui is just one kind of suffix. It means actually it refers the root as a suffix.
It refers to the root as something. Okay.
Yeah, that means
Also,
the root itself is the suffix.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. And the last letter of the root is dropped, right?
Yes,
And the previous letter become long.
become long.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So here we normally say now Kattu Sadhana. I think little bit better to explain here. So tang pasati. So tena disati. Then we have tena tang disate. For example, so tam pasati. He sees this. So here, according to Pāḷi, he sees this or that. For example, that, right? Then here he is seen by that. Here the subject is tena. Here subject is so, right? So if we say that we can say puriso, or it's better to say a good word. Puriso, puriso. You can say sihang pasati. Man sees the lion. The man sees the lion. Then here, the man is seen by the lion. Here, if we grammatically translate, right? This is how do we translate this? The act of seeing the lion by the man happens. This is how we literally translate this. Tena tang disati. So in the this is the katukaraka verb. So what happens? Kamma, now kamma normally we say kamma is in the case of katu is normally instrument. Then the case of kamma is accusative. That is the normal cases. So this katu, the instrumental belongs to katu, or katu is put in instrumental. Kamma is put in accusative. So in this sentence, kamma, the object is sihan, the lion. Lion is in accusative. Then why the katu is not in instrumental? Because this verb is a katukaraka. Katukaraka verb. So katukaraka verb means the root pas to this to see. It comes from the root this. The suffix is ti. It's a katukaraka suffix. Root is this plus t. R plus t, right? R plus t. Disati, or it become pasati. According to tradition. Otherwise, there's a root pas also in some books. Anyway, so this is t is a katukaraka suffix. This t itself is a katukaraka verbal termination. Right? So then why this pasati become a katukaraka verb? Because t is katukaraka suffix. So what happens when the word is formed, according to the grammar, one who knows the grammar, they are expected. When practically, how do we know it's something difficult to explain? But grammarians accept, the grammarians say that the word pasati already indicates the subject of the act. Why is that? Because t suffix is in the katukaraka meaning, subjective. Is subjective. So, therefore, pasati already mentions, the pasati already mentions that indicates the subject is seeing the object. I'll repeat again. According to the grammarians, this verb, because of the t suffix in the katukaraka, already indicates that the subject is seeing the object. It's not the subject is seen, a person is seen by someone. In the practicality, the same thing has happened. But according to them, here the subject has been emphasized. Subject is seeing the object. It's not the object is seen by the subject. So emphasis is on the subject. So therefore, we say subject has already been mentioned. Here, the subject is mentioned. Mutta. Subject or the kattu has already been mentioned. Right? So that is called Mutta Katta. Mutta Katta. Mutta or Ukta. Ukta. In Sanskrit, Ukta. Katta. The ka has been mentioned. So therefore, so what the grammarians are suggesting, since the subject has already been mentioned by the verb has already indicated the subject, it is not necessary to give the actual case ending of the subject. So instead of writing purisena, because why it is not necessary, already the verb has emphasized that the subject is doing the action. Subject is the prominent here. So therefore, we don't use the instrumental case to the subject. Instead, we use nominative case, which is lingatte patama, which just explains the gender and who is it, who it is. So that's why puriso, the nominative case, doesn't have any powering action. It is just an indicator. The action of the subject has been mentioned by the verb. In the second sentence, puriso, sorry, we use that. Purisena. Siho disati. The lion is seen by the man. So what happens here? Purisena siho disati. So according to this, the same thing, in the previous we had Kattukaraka and so forth, but here we have Kammakaraka. Instead of Kattukaraka, we have a Kammakaraka. Kamma verb. This plus ya plus ti. So this ti, not ya. This ti is a Kattukaraka, Kammakaraka. Ya is just an indicator. Right? Ya is a passive voice suffix, but the actual meaning, the Kammakaraka meaning is found in ti still. So this ti is in the passive voice. So here the object has been mentioned. Mutta kamma. Uttang kamma. Uttang kamma. So what happens here in this sentence, the kamma has been, sorry. What has happened? One moment. Kamma. So here the kamma, the object has been emphasized. So the grammarians expect that by seeing this verb, we know here the object is prominent. Object has been addressed. So disati is the act of seeing. So therefore, when the word disati comes in the passive voice formation, like it has been written here, the grammarians accept that for us to know that the object is undergoing the action, and also object has been emphasized in this action. The object has been emphasized in this action. So therefore, it's not necessary for them to write the object in its actual case ending. Normally, the object gets the accusative case ending. It's not necessary because the object has been addressed here, emphasized here, but the subject has not been emphasized. Therefore, the subject takes its natural case ending. Purisena. Instrument is the case ending of katu, subject, right? Accusative is the case ending of the object. So therefore, Pirisena Siho Disati. Purisena is the subject. Siho is the object. Why it is not written in accusative case? Because the object has been emphasized by the verb disati. So grammarians expect us to know that. So therefore, it's not necessary to mention the object again. What do you mean mentioning the object? Mentioning the object together with its case ending. It's not necessary because the case ending indicates that it is an object. But here, the verb itself has explained that object is being seen here. So instead of using its actual case ending, we use the nominative case, which has no specific meaning, which just indicates what is the object without using its case ending. But when we come to the Bhava Sadhana, Bhavasa, Purisena, Sihang, Disate. So here, it's both the subject and the object have their natural case endings. They are used in that their original case endings. Why is the reason? What is the reason? Because the verb is bhavakaraka. Bhavasadhana, we would say. Sometimes they say bhavakaraka even. Right? Bhavakaraka. This ya plus ti. This ti is a bhavakaraka suffix. Bhavakaraka suffix does not explain, does not emphasize either on the subject or of the object. So the Katukaraka suffix explains, emphasizes on the subject. Kamakaraka suffix emphasizes on the object. Bhavakaraka ti, this ti is Bhavakaraka. It emphasizes the verb, the act itself, not the subject nor the object. So therefore, the word disate, you can use disati also. Both the suffixes are possible. Like for example, disati here is possible. Here also disate is possible. Here also passate is possible. In today's Pāli is no problem. So this te indicates, to use the word te, right? Te and ti, the same meaning. But it is here used in the Bhavakaraka sense. It means it doesn't emphasize on the subject or the object. It emphasizes on the verb. So it means, unlike these two cases, where here the subject has been mentioned, here the object has been mentioned. So when the subject is mentioned, subject doesn't take its original case ending. Instead, it is written in nominative case. Here, the disate, the object has been mentioned. So therefore, the object doesn't take its original case ending. Instead, it takes the nominative case ending. But here, disate or disati doesn't indicate any, neither the object nor the subject. So what happens? This object takes its natural case ending, that is sihang, accusative case. The subject also takes its natural case ending, that is instrumental case purisena. So then how do we translate this act? Actually, the man sees the lion, that has happened. But grammatically, what the grammarians want to say, they want to emphasize, instead of saying the man sees the lion or the lion is being seen by the man, we say the act of seeing happens. The act of seeing is prominent here. The act of seeing the lion by the man. So who are the subjects and objects are secondary here. What matters is the action happens, right? Happens, we can even say it's without brackets. The action of the act of seeing happens. What is that act of seeing? This is explains what is that act of seeing. The lion by the man. The act of seeing of the lion. Better to say, like the act of seeing of the lion by the man happens. Yeah. So this is called the bhava sadhana. So when we go into this explanation, tamiva dissate tadi. So that here the definition is not its bhavakaraka means it refers to the act of seeing. What is that act? It has been explained. The unpleasant thing is seen like pleasant. The pleasant thing is seen like unpleasant. I don't know what happened. Unpleasant thing is seen like pleasant, and pleasant thing is seen like unpleasant. So that that is what the explanation about the act. But the definition emphasizes about the act itself. So that's why we mentioned it's an attribute or a spiritual quality. What is that spiritual quality? That is seen the pleasant as unpleasant or unpleasant as pleasant according to his will. According to his will. So that is the definition of bhava sadhana. So according to that, it neither refers to the arahant nor to the object. It refers to the quality of seeing. Like in this sentence, Purisena sihan dissate in the bhavakaraka, it refers to the act of seeing. Act of seeing happens, or of what is that? Of the lion by the man. Yeah, this is what I'd like to explain about the bhava sadhana.
Oh, this is sadhu. It is very, very comprehensive, Bhante. Just a curiosity, Bhante. So where did you get this kind of knowledge, Bhante? To be honest, I've been asking a lot of teachers about this bhava sadhana, and it is the first time I've been hearing this kind of, explanation. It is very, very clear. So where did you get this, Bhante?
It's like I didn't get such an explanation actually, but what they mentioned was what I have read was the Katukaraka, this action emphasized on the subject, Kamakaraka actions emphasized on the object, and then Bhava Sadhana emphasized on the verb. That's what they have mentioned. And also it mentions, I have read in some books, that why this Kattu and Kama, not about the Bhava, Kattu and Kama, why didn't they, why the Purisa became nominative instead of instrumental, and why the Siha became nominative instead of accusative, I have understood. So then we applied this into the Bhava Sadhana. And that's this is, and then how to say, when we get into the definitions, it becomes clearer, because all the definition and all this, whenever they explain about bhava sadhana, they say, whenever ladies also say, it is the action itself, not the subject, not the object. So based on these all, I arranged this kind of explanation.
Yeah, that's very, very it's very great, Bhante, because to be honest, before this, when I look into a bhava sadhana sentence, I have no idea why, you have instrumental there, you have the accusative there. And then now it's very clear that you said that it presumes the original form, original declension. This is very, very, very good, Bhante. Thank you so much for this.
Okay, sadhu.
So Bhante?
Yeah. Yes, Sally.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Regarding the dadi, because in the dictionary it shows also in according to the Morganana is they have the re suffix.
Huh? We. Can you spell?
Re suffix. I will
Yeah, it's
put here.
ra
Re.
and long e, Bhante. It's ra and long e.
Long e, yes.
Right. So then this R is dropped with sa, right? Is it?
Yes, because the previous also ta plus disa plus re.
Not qui, right? Re, right? Re or qui? This is re, right? Is it?
Disa. Yeah, re. This is the Morganana explanation.
Two, Bhante. So it's ta plus disa and then qui. That is one way of explanation.
Right.
And then the other one is ta plus disa plus re.
Okay. Re, right?
Yes.
Sa. Okay, right. Anyway. So what happened is sa and ra are dropped together, right? Ra
Yeah,
and
looks
sa.
that way. Yes, Bhante.
Ra is like a suicide bomber, we say. It kills itself with another. Okay, thank you. So we'll put that also. So Moggallana have a different approach.
Yes. But they both the definition the same. Tangmiwa, something like that.
Same, right? Definition is
Tangmiwa,
same.
these are didi dadi. Itangmiwa, ani tangbi, pasadidi.
Yeah, you can you share it in the group? It will be useful.
Dictionary.
Which
You can see. Very easy.
okay.
Pāļi Myanmar dictionary.
Unfortunately, I don't have in the Apple phone. Okay, anyway.
Okay, I will share later.
Sorry. Okay, before we go to the next sentence, is there anything to be discussed here further? Okay.
So
yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah.
the power character.
Yeah.
Yes. So we just take the verb happens as a default.
Happen as a
As the verb that as default.
no.
Yes.
What I want to say is that the act of seeing of the lion by the man. So it's not a sentence. So that's why I put the verb happens, because if in English, I think this is just a noun form, right? The act of seeing of the lion by the man. So because this is a sentence in Pāļi, there should be a verb. So verb should be like, that's why you should have be verb like happens, exists, occurs, something like, to indicate that this is a one kind of a sentence. So it is not that. That's why in the beginning I put it in the within the brackets actually. Okay, we'll put it in the brackets, otherwise it leads to confusion. So here happens is not the disate. Disate is the act of seeing. It's the act of seeing. But in Pāļi it's a sentence. But in English, when we translate, it's not a sentence, I think. So that's why I just wanted to make it a sentence. So put a verb like happens or exists or occurs, something like that.
So in the case of the Pāļi sentence, is there any way Bhante can go a little further and make that Pāļi sentence as a complete sentence with a verb?
No, this is a Pāļi complete sentence, Ali.
It is.
This is a complete sentence. But when we bring it into English, we have to emphasize on the act here, not on the subject or not on the object. So it's why we say the act of seeing. Act of seeing has happened, but that act has to be explained. Why we have an instrumental and accusative cases, which indicates what is this act. That is the act of seeing of the scene of the lion by the man. So this is the object and this is the subject.
Oh, thank you. So I think this bawa karaka is very subtle. When we
Yeah.
look at a long Pali sentence, we should be able to identify this sentence because this sentence could become an object or it could become
Sorry, Pāḷi, I beg your pardon. This sentence can be a.
it could become the object of that long sentence, of a certain long sentence, or
You
it
mean
could be-
you mean the entire Bhavakaraka sentence becoming an object again? Is it?
it could be, right? It could be, or it could be a subject of a certain long sentence.
No.
Hi,
This
hi, Bhante.
sentence.
I think we
Yes.
can. I think we can resolve this problem by translating as the act of seeing the lion is done by the man.
Okay. The act of seeing
The
the
act of
lion.
seeing the lion is done by the man.
Okay. By the man. Okay. So this is it not a passive voice sentence in English?
Yeah, it is. But here, the emphasis is on the act.
On the action. Okay. Right. Oh, thank you. Now it's a complete sentence, right?
Yes, Bhante.
Yeah. So, but it's not the emphasis on the object, not the emphasis on the subject, but on the action. So, I think it's a good way. Can't we adapt this to the Bhavakaraka translation? Can we use this kind of a structure for all?
Yes,
whenever-
I think it should be okay, Bhante, if we do it that way.
The act of seeing the lion is done by the man. Okay, right. Thank you very much. Yeah, someone was going to say something. Yes.
So
Yes, Siyali Uttama.
Yes, I wonder if to
I
solve
think Ale,
the
your mic is on, or there's a two sounds. Okay, please go ahead. Siyali Uttama.
yes, thank you. I think is this a possible translation to avoid the misunderstanding of the passive voice and also for the Bhavakaraka? May I translate like this?
Yeah. Okay.
There is the act of seeing by the man.
Sorry. Again, can you repeat it?
There is the act of seeing the lion by
There
the
is
man.
the act of seeing. Yeah.
The lion by the man.
Lion by the man. Okay. What do you think, Dr. Ryan, here? There is the act of seeing. So,
I think it's okay, but it just because it's like stating a
think
fact.
about it, right?
It's like stating a fact. But is that the intention of that sentence? Is that the intention of the Bhava Sarana sentence? Just saying the act. There is a fact.
Oh, there is a. So this is like a fact.
Because when we say there is the act of seeing the eye lion by the man, we're just stating a fact. It's like we're stating a fact.
This emphasizes a fact, right? So can we
Yes.
say this emphasizes an act?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Siyali Uttama, do you have any comments on this?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Roy, and thank you, Bhante. That is very clear now. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Sadhu. Thank you for the idea. So this is so is it like when we want to emphasize a fact, we use this kind of a structure? Is it? Not. I mean, there are children. We can say there are children and so forth. So normally we use that as a fact, like something, some information is given, right?
So Bhante, actually, I have learned such a type of sentence with other Bhantes as well. So they suggest to me in the beginning. I also encountered some difficulties. So they suggest to me that we should differentiate what is the difference the Garaga and the Sadhana.
Mhm.
So after that, when we read the sentence, we know.
Okay, okay. Okay.
Like in the Abhidhamma, we generally use like a bhava sense.
Hmm.
A lot of sentences use a bhava sense.
Like for example, Chinta, the Chitta, we have three definitions. Chinteti, Chintetiti, Chittam. The act, the one who thinks, the reality who thinks is the Chitta. Chinteti, ete na titi Chittam. This is actually Karana Sadhana. This is Kattu Sadhana. So here the subject is Chet. Now, according to, sometimes we can use the man. The man thinks with it. Ete, chinteti etena. By that. Thinks by that. With the help of that. That reality is called Chitta. Chinteti etenatiti tan chittam. That is called Chitta. Chintetiti chittam. So the reality. So for example, yang or yo, we can use yang instrument. This is neuter gender. Yang chinteti tang chitta, right? So chinteti etenatiti, we normally say chetasike, chetasika, yena chinteti tang chitta. So by which chetasikas think, that is called chitta. Who thinks, that is called chitta. Why this is yang and tang? We are neuter gender. So then we also have chintana mattang chittang. Mattam means mere act of chintana, act of thinking is called chitta. So this is a bhava sadhana. This is a bhava sadhana. So as you said, in Abhidhamma, we have mostly, it says all the Paramattha Dhammas, but I'm not sure whether all the Paramattha Dhammas. Normally, most of the Paramattha Dhammas can be given definitions on all these three aspects as a subject. So the short definition of this is Chinteti Chitta, short definition. Chinteti Chittang. Then here the short definition will be Chinteti Etenati. Chittang. This is Chintana Chitta. So this is the long definition. Yan Chinteti, who thinks, that is called Chitta. By which the Chetasikas think, that instrument is called Chitta. Yena Tang. Here, Yang Tang. Here, there's nothing to refer because the act of thinking itself is Chitta. Okay, thank you for that. Okay.
But so
Yes,
Bhante,
yeah.
regarding this idea, I think last year one Sri Lanka professor from the maybe Kanayana University.
Tell me, okay. Tell me. Kalyani.
Oh, sorry, I forgot the name. But he rejected these first two ideas.
Mhm.
So the Gadu and the Garna, but he accepted the Bhava Sadhana.
This is good, he said.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the problem. Ironically, now when we go into Abhidhamma, the commentators say, the sub-commentators say, this should be taken as the Paramatta explanation. And I do agree on that because Paramatta Dhammas are non-self entities, right? Non-self entities. But we should not, I think personally, we should not look down upon these, like we should not take these definitions as to granted, because if you go into Samyutta Nikaya, how did the Buddha define Vijnana? So the normal definition of Vijnana would be, according to Sanskrit, and also the common knowledge that we have, anasuffix, right? Vijananam, Vijanana Mattang, or we can say. Just the act of knowing, especially knowing, is called Vijnana. Because we know the definition is V plus root will be Gnya, right? Plus Ana, right? That is called Vijnana. Vijnana. Sorry. Sorry. I have a new keyboard, so I'm not used to this. So this is the normal definition. But according to the Buddhas, he mentioned Vijanati, Vijanatiti, Vijanatiti, Vijnana. Vijanatiti Vijnana. So this definition is yang aramane Vijanati tang Vijnana. So the whatever reality which knows the object is called Vijnana. So who does the subjective experience is the Vijnana. So therefore, this is the originally from Samyutta Nikaya, Khajjaniya Sutta, you can see. Of Samyutta Nikaya. So it's true that when we look into the non-self entities, like look into them as non-self entities, the third definition, Bhava Sadhana, is more close to the Abhidhamma or means Dhamma explanations. But when you go into Sutta, we find a subjective explanation. So if the Buddha would give us explanation of Chitta, I would say he would surely give this Chinte Titi Chitta. My personal view is because why did he give Vijnana? Vijanati Vijnana. It's a Kattuka sadhana. This is a Bhava sadhana. Kattu sadhana one he gave. So why did the Buddha use, instead of using the Bhava sadhana, why did he use the Kattu sadhana? But when we deeply go into grammar, the problem here is, according to the grammarians, if this is Kattu and this is the act. So according to the grammar, this is the problem. According to the grammar, subject does the action, right? And subject is the Kattu or Kattu Karaka. And he or it or she does the act. And then we grammatically explain what is the real Kattu Karaka here. What is the real Kattu Karaka? So they define it two ways. The agent or the person or the thing, whatever, who does the act, and the ability of the agent, person, or the thing to do the act. So the grammarians, the more like traditionally grammarians emphasizes out of these two, when we take the doer as a thing or a person or agent and its ability, they say in the deep meaning, this is the real Kattu Karaka. So the simile they give is a man walks upon the road. So a creeper, not cripple, is the one who cannot walk, cripple, right? Cripple. Someone who has a difficulty in walking, who doesn't have legs, he cannot walk. So it means he lacks the ability to do the act. So the ancient grammarians suggested that the real Kattu Karaka is the ability to do the act. So based on these explanations, what happens? In the end, according to grammar, the subject, it means the Kattu, and the act, Kriya, are always two things. Are always two things. So therefore, according to this explanation, what happens? I'll color it in a different color, otherwise it's all looks the same. We'll use a different color for that. Something like this. Fully right. So what happens is, oh my goodness. Right. So now, if we use the first definition, according to grammar, when we mix the grammar and the teachings, what has happened is, ultimately, the one who thinks, young, chittam, and chinteti, the act of thinking, are two things. Because subject and the act are always two things. Because the subject possesses the ability to do the act. So it all indicates, these explanations indicates that there is an ability, there is a person is one thing, his ability is one thing, the act is one thing. There are three things. So actually the real Karaka is the ability, Kattu Karaka is the ability to do that. So therefore, according to grammar, the act and the subject are two things. And also in terms of object, its nature to undergo the act. Like for example, Battam Pachati cooks rice. We cannot normally cook a rock because it doesn't have that nature to be cooked. So likewise, the Karaka, its nature or the ability and the act are always three things. So if we go into this definition in the Abhidhamma perspective, what happens in the end, Chitta and the knowing becomes two things, grammatically. So the sub-commentators have emphasized that this should be taken as the ultimate explanation. The Bhava Sadhana should be the ultimate explanation of the realities. It's clearly mentioned in sub-commentators. But the Buddha has taken a different approach. He used the Skatukaraka. So what does it mean? Is it mean that he just defined it conventionally, or didn't he give much emphasis on this? So didn't he think in the way the sub-commentators think? We can think in many ways. So personally, what I feel is, so when we say the act of thinking, according to our normal idea, the act of thinking is done by myself, done by the atta, self. So sometimes we can take it's a self do the act of thinking, and also we can divide this, the self itself thinks. That the mind itself is the self. It is the self. So that's why sometimes, but in the end, both have the same meaning. The self do the act of thinking. The self thinks itself. Itself thinks like by itself. In the end, what happens? Self and thinking have become two things. So this way of approach about the self is not very accurate according to the Buddhist explanation. So what the Buddha wanted to do here is, what I feel is, he replaced the self with vijnana. So if people think that I think, or the man thinks, the self thinks, so he wanted to say, no, it's not a self that thinks, it's a vijnana that thinks. It's the vijnana that thinks. So this definition comes to overcome or to emphasize the people that there is no self here other than the vijnana which thinks. But when we look into this in terms of grammar, what happens? There is a specific grammatical explanation. Then what happened? We come into a dilemma. So if you say the vijnana thinks, does it mean that vijnana is one thing and thinking is one thing? So we go more sharper in deep into the explanation. Why? It's because of grammar. Otherwise, when the Buddha says instead of a self, it's the vijnana which thinks. That's very, very easy to understand. People would understand, okay, there is no self, it's just vijnana is thinking. So when we think more deeper in terms of grammar, we come into a problem. So does it mean that vijnana and the chitta are two things? Vijnana and the act of thinking is two things? Because according to grammar, it's so forth. So then what happens? They come into the bhava sadhana explanation, which emphasize on the act itself, not the agent, the act itself. And they said, the commentator says, the bhava sadhana would be the ultimate explanation. So that's why the modern Abhidhamma scholars prefer this explanation. But personally, I feel it's like we have to think like, because the sutta gives the subjective definition, we should not, because this, I think this is more practical. This is what was practical. When to remove the self view, Buddha said, no, there's no self thinking, it's vijnana thinking. So it's very clear to the audience. And then as a secondary stage, we have also developed another definition like this. Because this kind of definition, this bhava sadhana definition, the hint of a bhava sadhana definition, hint of a bhava sadhana definition, not a direct definition, we can find in a sutta. Just give me 1 second. We can find this in, there's a sutta called Moliya Paguna Sutta of Samyutta Nikaya. Moliya Paguna Sutta of Samyutta Nikaya. In that sutta, Venerable Moliya Paguna asked, Who Viññānāhārang āhareti? Who, Venerable Sir, experiences the consciousness? Who, Venerable Sir, touches the object? Who, Venerable Sir, tastes the flavor of the object? Now he's talking about Vedana. He's asking who tastes the flavor. Then he asks who craves? Tanha. And Sir, Venerable Sir, who clings? Is based on self-idea. So then the Buddha said, it's a very nice sutta, if you can read this. It's very interesting. Buddha said the question is wrong. He said the question is wrong. If you want to ask the question, please ask due to what reasons the consciousness arises? Due to what reasons the passa, contact arises? Due to what reasons the Vedana arises? So he gives, it shows that instead of giving a subjective definition, because this is how we define Vedetiti Vedana in Samyutta Nikaya. Vedetiti Vedana. That is subjective definition. Sanjanatiti Sanyam in the Kajjaniya Sutta. So now the Venerable Moli, now what experience is Vedana? So then Venerable Moliya Paguna, based on these definitions, he got the wrong impression that Vedana is some kind of a person or a thing that feels. So that then he asked, who tastes? So then the Buddha had to again bring him into a proper understanding, because even this definition, as it was seen here in the deep grammar, some people, not all, some can come into a wrong understanding based on these subjective definitions. So therefore, he asked, who tastes? The Buddha said, ask the question like this: due to which causes the Vedana arises? Now, in that explanation, he is giving that Vedana is not a doer. It's just an act. It's just some incident or a feeling, act of knowing, act of feeling, act of tasting. So this sutta hints, I'm not saying Buddha gave a definition for that. It hints that Buddha also was aware of this bhava, aware means has emphasized on this bhava sadhana definition. So it's not a new thing. So therefore, that's what I would like to share about this bhava sadhana and kattu sadhana definitions. Buddha has given kattu sadhana definitions in suttas, and in the Moliya Paguna Sutta, when a monk went into a wrong idea about a self based on these subjective definitions, he had to clarify it and give an explanation closer to a bhava sadhana definition. So in our later literature, we clearly define these kind of definitions, and they have mentioned that bhava sadhana is more accurate. But what I feel is, even when we appreciated the bhava sadhana definition because it says, and that is how we study Abhidhamma. But when we go into suttas and try to see practically what the Buddha has taught, practically means how he had taught the audience. So we find he has made the bhava katuk sadhana approach more. It's very rare that he makes bhava sadhana approaches because it's very abstract and difficult to be understood. But when a person goes astray because of a katuk sadhana definition, he drags them back to the side to the bhava sadhana.
Okay, thank you, Bhante, so much. So because this also this explanation was explained by Seattle Ugovida in his Abhidhamma class. So he was mentioning this Gadu, Gama, and the Bhava, Gadu, Gara, and the Bhavas, but finally he said the Bhava is more accurate.
Yeah.
So that's why this came to my mind.
Right, thank you. Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Hi, Bhante. So
right, yeah.
the word bhava karaka is used somewhere, Bhante? Because it sounds very strange to me when we say bhava karaka.
That's it. Now, it's normally bhava sadhana, right?
Yeah, yeah.
In when we come into when we study in Sri Lanka and also in some books, when it comes to the verb, not the kitaka, verb, we have three types of, we have three types of karaka for the verb: kattu, kamma, and bhava. So it's better not to use the word, but because the thing is, karaka is normally karaka in sentences and sadhana in definition, word formation. This is the normal idea we have. So when we define a sentence, we say this is kattu karaka, this is kamma karaka, this is karana karaka. So likewise we have. So as the verb appears in a sentence in this kind of way, so maybe that's why we were taught as bhava karaka. But when I came to Myanmar, I was really I got enlightened. Like enlightened means when they say that bhava is never a karaka, it's always a sadhana. It's always a sadhana. I appreciated that, and I just avoided. I try my best to use the bhava sadhana always. But when we come into a sentence, because normally in the sentences the word karaka has been used, and also that is how we discuss in Sri Lanka. I use the word bhava karaka. Otherwise, if you go to the real exact meaning, as you said, bhava should be said as sadhana. So here also it's a bhava sadhana verb, if so.
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
That is because how we have studied from our young ages, and also this like karaka is in sentences. So since this is a sentence, I use the word karaka. That's why I said it's normally sadhana. It should be sadhana actually, because we have 6 karaka and 7 sadhana.
Yes, thank you, Bhante.
Okay, so shall we call it a day, because it's already 11 in Myanmar and we have another Angulimala Tikko Vinnena season. We'll take it next week. Is it okay?
Yes, thank you so much, Bhante. Sadhu, very clear.
Okay, thank you so much, Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.